Hi, how is everyone doing?
Good, thanks, and you?
Awesome. Also good, thank you. Right. Let's kick off. I've got a wrong background. Let me just change my background and then I can put a video on just to say hello to everyone. There we go. And then, yeah, so I guess I've met most of you guys when we were doing the welcome session and the pre-read of the pre-release on the 1st of March, I think. It's been 15 days since I saw you guys. For those who were not in that session and have never met me, my name is Ferdinand Moketi. I'm one of the professional team members here at Endunamo, and I'm the academic head of the program. So keen to kick off on task D. Just on a show of not hands, actually just go into the chat box and indicate to me with a yes or a no whether you've had a chance to go through the reflection deck for task D. Just go in, and I'm expecting a lot of comments, so it's okay. I want to see at least 50 comments into the chat box. And those who have said yes, already open the mic. Let's just get 2 views. What did you think of how we analyzed what did you think of how we analyzed the pre-release for the purpose of task D? Yes, Gracious, go for it.
Hi, Ferdi.
Hi.
Yeah, a powerful session it was. Wow. Sure, I've learned a lot from that session, and the analysis, the linking. I think if one can adapt to that, there's no way that one will miss the task that will come in the exam. And I hope and believe that I will be part of those that are crossing over using that approach, because it's sort of like it makes sense, man. It makes sense. Everything just comes together nicely. So yeah, wow, it was a beautiful session.
Thanks so much for that feedback, Gracious. So did any one of you guys then have any question on it? Did anything not make sense to be like, but Fedi, how did you know you had to look at this? Or how did you, was there any question whatsoever? Any other views? If there's no question, maybe I'll take a second view and then we'll jump straight into the information on the day. Eh?
Hi, Ferdy.
Hi.
I guess for me, it's just the question, how did you go about doing the whole thing? Because I didn't think about everything that you thought. You went from Poppy Act to controls to like everything, connecting. How did you get to that point? How do we get ourselves to that point, just like you did when we see the information?
Very good question, Annelise. Maybe don't go on mute so that me and you can have the engagement dialogue. So you agree the Poppy was definitely
triggered.
Was definitely triggered. So that one you didn't have an issue to know that I need to understand Poppy. Agreed? And then they specifically asked you that they are looking for Poppy and your understanding and your knowledge of Poppy, but from a risk management angle or perspective. Yes. That's the word they use, if I remember correctly.
Yes, they did.
Yeah. And how does one manage risk?
That's the thing. I didn't think about that. I just thought, okay, Poppy Act, what are risks associated with Poppy Act?
What are the risks? Yeah, tell me, what are the risks? Did you identify the risks?
I just thought about the normal ones, like where the cyberbullying, all those things that has to do with, they just the normal things that anyone can think of. You understand? I didn't think of going deeper.
And Annalise, I think that's what you need to do. You need to understand, how does one then manage risk? I mean, and I like what you said is, and I need to understand Poppy. This is law and a regulation, right? So that's the first thing. And when they say risk management, maybe I need to start, before I even understand how to manage the risk, I need to understand what is the risk. You agree with me?
Mm-hmm.
So I was like, okay, they want me to know the Poppy from a risk management. It means I need to start at a risk. I need to understand what is a risk. What would be a risk for you, Annalise, in respect of a law and a regulation? What is the key risk?
Non-compliance.
Absolutely, non-compliance, because it's got consequences, eh? And on the video, we spoke about a multiple consequences of non-compliance, but which you needed to go and unpack so that it's at the back of your mind that there might be fines, reputation, loss of trust, students leaving, etc. Are you with me?
Yes.
But then now you have identified the risk, non-compliance. How do you manage non-compliance?
That's where I went wrong. I didn't think about the management of such risk. I just went to risks. Okay, these are the risks, and then that was it. I didn't think about the management part.
And what would you attribute that error on your end to? Because I've already then attributed it to something.
As in maybe lack of, I don't know. I don't know how to put it.
Was risk management in the pre-release?
It was. Okay, well, it was because risks were triggered.
Exactly. Risk, they actually said from a risk management perspective.
Yes.
So,
Yeah.
so basically what I'm identifying is that you identified Poppy as a trigger, and you didn't do what the rest of my professional team were doing with you to narrow the task, to say, but what about Poppy? What are you going to ask me on the day about Poppy? Because Poppy is the act. You get what I'm saying? So now narrow the task. And narrowing the task, it doesn't require any form of skill or any, you just need to read. You need to make sure that when you've got that pre-release information, you read it and really underline and analyze and brainstorm with yourself and later with your team, of course, as exactly what is being strongly triggered. Because Poppy is triggered, but what is being strongly triggered? You get me?
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yo, you went to controls, you went to general controls, application controls. It was like, what? Okay.
And I think I didn't give enough time. I realized I'm over an hour and I haven't talked about controls, which is my favorite part of my career and my livelihood. Our controls.
No, you were so excited when you went to controls.
Yes, I mean, a case study without controls for me is not a full case study.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Annalise. I saw a hand, but it disappeared. Someone wanted to add something. Right. Okay. Let me just also acknowledge the people that have said yes. Well done, guys, for having gone through that pre-release video. It is definitely going to help us tonight. So I want you guys to now just push into the chat box and document in a couple of lines and just tell me how you felt when you read the information on the day, how you felt, and in respect of being prepared for the task. Now I'm backtracking. I'm talking about on the 1st of December 2021. How did you feel when you read the task D? I'm going to give you 2 minutes while I'm actually changing my networks. You type into the chat box and let me know, how did you feel? And go into detail. Don't just say sad, or tell me the why. Have some bit of depth in evaluating how you felt. Okay, so a minute or two, and then we will talk about how you felt. I'm not seeing any comments coming. Are you guys typing? Whilst you guys are typing, anyone who is not eager to type but want to just voice it out, talk to me. How did you feel when you read that information on the day, or on task D?
Hi, Freddy.
Hi, how are you?
I'm good, thanks.
Hi, Kazim. Long time.
Yeah, long time.
Yeah.
So that day, like when I first read the information on the day, I was like, where do I start from? Where do I start from? I was like completely off guard. Controls, anything I didn't do in the research during the pre-release, then I said, okay, I'm gonna attempt these questions last. Then I went back there. So now I went through line by line, trying to find something to put on to like scrutinize line by line. At least I try to manage to put something. So if there's something I confident that I'm supposed to fail because I don't know what I was doing, but I was trying to make sense of what I'm trying to do, trying to apply myself more on the day. But actually it came one of the times that I did well.
Okay.
I was surprised. So, but at some point when I first saw the information on the day, I was lost. But it's those moments where you feel like, okay, you are here now. Just apply yourself.
Yeah.
Put yourself there. Do the best you can do. Fight for this. So I think this is one of the tasks that just like, let me fight.
That's my student right there.
So that's how it went.
You don't move your eyes off the goal, of the goal, eh? You've got to fight.
Yes.
And Kazim, having watched the pre-release information analysis that we went through, would it have helped?
Yeah, it would have like, if like when it would have helped me a lot. I wouldn't have panicked at first. I would have known, yes, this is what I need to do at go. But
Okay.
I think for me to try to put myself in the game back, because like, okay, I did nothing, I know nothing, but I need to do something. So it could have taken a little more time that should have taken me if I have done enough work during the pre-release.
Yes. No, I get you completely, Kazim. Let me get a view from Cindy.
Hi, Freddie.
Hi.
So for me, like, I think after watching like previous EPC videos, like I see I didn't have a proper approach for a review. Like I'll just look at it, oh, what is wrong? Like just looking at it high level. So when I saw this task, I was like, they're coming with me with a policy. This policy looks appropriate. I don't know where I'm supposed to go and scratch for points because it wasn't like I feel like when I see a task, I'm expecting it to be completely wrong. That I'm gonna be like, oh, okay, they didn't say user access. Let me go and put it there. Now there's points there that are valid, and I need to find a way to still criticize. I need to, and without having that planning of this is how you do a review task, you just suddenly go blank, and I didn't know what to say.
And Cindy, everything at face value, now, having gone through the other 6 tasks at EPC, at face value, it will always look good. When you read just high level from the beginning to the end.
Yes, yes.
But your critical thinking, when you start line by line, which is what we're going to do tonight, you will realize that you will tear it apart. At the end, it will look like it was an absolute rubbish of a policy. You get what I'm saying? But if you just do an aerial view, it will look good. So those are the things that I'm sure with everyone else you've learned. And that's why when I'm at work and reviewing working papers, the first time when you're looking at it and I mean, you're trying to rush through it, it looks good. But read it next year, guys. That working paper that was brilliant, read it the following year. You will realize it was absolute rubbish. Atara?
Good evening, everyone. Good evening, everyone. Hi, Fedi.
How are you?
I'm tired, but I'm good, thank you.
Good.
Yes, yo, Fedi, I just want to give you a hand of applause. You know I'm dramatic, but yeah, no, I loved the reflection video. Like it just showed me that I went astray. I did read things, ne? I did go and do the Poppy Act. I read things that I researched, right? But I was missing the link back to the case study, like how you went to go and actually Google why the Poppy Act was what designed introduced. And also the way you were reading, I felt like you were analyzing every 3 letters.
Of course.
And it was amazing.
I was present, was I not, Atara?
You killed it.
You need to be present, remember. You need to be present and read to understand what you're reading.
Sure, I think my mouth was open the whole time because I was just like, what? Okay, but on the day, I felt like I was prepared, right? But I didn't have enough time to write. And I did a research and I had a nice document for document 2, but I didn't study it. So I was just using my brain according to what I saw somewhere. You know, so yeah, that's how I felt on the day. But I'm happy.
Thanks, Atara, and nice to hear your voice. Looking forward to tonight. Muleboheng?
Hi, Fedi.
Hi.
So with me, with this task, I think the problem started during the pre-release, where I mainly focused on the Poppy Act and not the risk management aspect. So I think looking at the reflection videos, it helped me a lot because I got to learn that you need to break down the trigger and make sure that you address every aspect of the trigger. And I think on the day, this is a task that dribbled me so much because I said it right. So I think I struggled with this task because of insufficient preparation.
Okay, Muleboheng, I was struggling to hear some of the things, but from what I'm picking up was the issues were on the day. And let's see how we unpack those from here. Atara, if you could just lower your hand. I'm just now going to project the information on the day and let's read through it. Where's my IOD? There we go. All right, so we're going to do the same, read line by line. So you would have gotten here at some point. Well, initially you would have gotten here at the beginning of the day. I think it was 11 o'clock or 11:30, jokes aside. But you would have read it quickly and then planned how long am I going to spend on this? Maybe you would have said 50 minutes or an hour. It's not really one of those lengthy asan or Rendani tasks. It's really, you need to bash it in and out. Also, the email is from Ryan, and again, to you as the financial manager. So let's start reading. So I'm going to switch off my video, and then we're going to get through it. So, hi again. You have no doubt read about the ransomware attacks that have been in the news recently, in which malicious software encrypts files on an organization's computer network, rendering the files and the systems that rely on them unusable. Okay, have we read? Because they say, Ryan is saying, you have no doubt read about the ransom attacks that have been in the news recently, in which malicious software encrypts file on an organization's computer network, rendering the files and the system that rely on them unusable. Have you? If you have, yes, good. If not, you might have heard and not read, etc. But the point here, do not panic. Whichever route you are on, do not panic and say, no, I haven't read. I haven't actually Googled some of the ransomware attacks. Just, you are a CA, calm down. So just be there and say, I'm sure I can handle it. It might be one of the twists on the day. I will be able to handle it. But what are they talking about here? Excuse me. It's where the software encrypts files. Okay.
No, it was a decline. It was a decline. I was saying.
Someone just needs to go on mute unless they're talking to what I'm talking to. So it encrypts files, okay? And the rendering the files and the system to be unusable. So what is this doing, guys? What is the, when this ransom attack happens, what are they trying to do? Can someone tell us what they're trying to do here? Okay. What are they trying to do? Are they trying to manipulate the data? Are they trying to destruct the data? Are they trying to alter the data? What is the purpose of this ransomware? Are they stealing our data? What are they doing? Did you understand the context? Come on, talk to me.
Hi, Fedi.
Hi.
For me, what came to my mind was like a kidnapping. When you kidnap someone and then you demand money.
It's like a kidnapping of data.
Yeah.
Yeah, like I can use it, I need it, but I need it as Akegos. So let's go back. I, meaning Akegos, need it. Okay. But it is gone. So, I'm trying to think about how do I avoid something like this from happening? How do I avoid something like this happening? Not that I need to be answering these questions, guys. It's just things that are coming at the top of my mind. Or if it is unavoidable, then what should happen? And I just want to see if you guys can answer these two questions, then I can see whether you're on the right track. How do I avoid something like this from happening, guys, where I don't get attacked? Come on, push the answer, one word answer, two word answer in the chat box. How do I avoid this from happening?
Controls.
Yeah, Gracious, which type of a control? Get closer now. Cindy went for it. Strong firewalls. Love it. Okay. Cindy just immediately said you need to have like a strong firewall. Okay. Well, if I can't avoid this from happening, then what? Control. Gracious. But what type of a control now? Which control? Let me not say what type, but which control? Cyber training. Just not sure. Yeah, Kimberly, you're on the right track, but how did it assist? I like the other ones, like access controls are here, antiviruses. You guys are talking about virus are there. But similarly, if I can't avoid this from happening, then I get hacked and they kidnap my data. Then what? Where to from there? Where to from there, guys?
Hi, Fedi.
Hi, Atara.
I think this is where the Poppy Act comes in.
How so, Atara? I'm laughing not at you because Chirindo say pay the money. But anyway.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So the Poppy Act requires you to report if information has been stolen.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it requires you to report to the person who owns the information.
Report the breach. But yeah. I mean, your data is still gone.
Yes, but if they stole it, Fedi. What are you going to do?
So we're gonna start calling all our students and say, guys, you need to come and tell us who your parents is, what your banking details are, because we lost the data, hey?
Yeah, honestly, I can't think of anything else that they can do to redeem.
You can't think of any other control. There, Kalalelo got it. You need to go to your backups now.
Oh, yes.
The control that you should be having to start with is a backup, okay? So that even if they kidnap your data, you're like, okay, thank goodness. Good riddance to that old data. Oh, well, not old, but you can keep whatever you have, but I'm going to just restore my backup, okay? Why I'm trying to do this for you, I'm just trying to see whether you guys are able to distinguish between the backup control and these types of controls. Which ones are your number one controls? Strong firewalls, access virus, antivirus, or the backup controls? Which one are your number one controls and why?
Sorry, can I answer?
Go for it. Don't be apologetic.
Okay. I would say backup restoration. I mean backup controls. Reason being, if you start with firewalls and you lose information while you're busy with those firewalls and antiviruses and whatnot, you still it's a bigger loss. So it's better to have backup first, then prevent.
It's actually the other way. I would say the other way, Atara, because remember a backup, the loss must have happened for you to restore the backup. You get what I'm saying?
No, I'm talking from you actually making sure you have backup. That's where I was coming from.
Oh, I get what you're saying. Yes, I get what you're saying. Yes.
But when you put it this way, I agree.
You need the strong firewalls. That's why in life, we always say preventative is better than cure, because a backup is actually now curing the situation. But preventative controls are usually the top. Okay, so I just wanted to understand whether you guys were thinking along these lines as you're reading. So they went further. They say the malicious actors or the hackers then demand payment of a ransom in exchange for a decryption. Oh, wow. Interesting. These guys. And or threaten to sell or leak the data? Hopefully not. And that's why I see some of you guys saying pay the money. Because I guess even if I've got a backup, I mean, if they sell or leak the data, there will be consequences. There will be unfavorable consequences. Would be fined for not having strong preventative controls. I could go to be imprisoned. What else? Imprisoned. Or I could lose loss of trust, reputation, copy non-compliance. It's a lot. So especially if they want to sell the data and leak it, oh my word, we don't want that. Let me see if there's any other views that are coming in the chat box. Reputational damage, nasty, nasty. Absolutely. Cool. Let's keep reading. While I'm satisfied that we have effective backups, okay, so do we? Okay, so we have effective backups. I'm glad you are so sure, Mr. Ryan. In place to prevent such attacks from threatening our operations. Wait. We have effective backups, which prevents such attacks. Let me pause here, guys. What are you thinking? Yes, open the mic. Come on.
Hi, can I come in?
Yes, of course, Moloku. Come through.
Yeah. I think, like you mentioned before earlier on, to say that the backup are not preventative controls, but they are detective controls. So maybe this sentence where he's saying that the backups are preventative, it might be wrong because those are more of related to detective controls. Thank you.
Fantastic, Moloku. This will not prevent an attack. Oh, look at my attack, not attach, attack, but it will retrieve the data that is encrypted. Ryan, what are you talking about? I think you don't understand the functioning of data or controls around data. So what are you saying though? But you're talking rubbish at this point. I just can't tell you that because you're my boss. While I'm satisfied that we have effective backups in place to prevent such attacks, no, from threatening our operations, I'm concerned that hackers may obtain and distribute or change. So they may obtain, distribute, or change sensitive data. Okay, so they may do any of this that is stored on our computer system, especially in view of the provisions of the POPI Act. Okay, so yes, the moment they can obtain, distribute, change all this data, it means you don't have any preventative controls. You only have this backup controls. So this affirms that you are actually then, you are exposed. Wow. So basically, we do not have preventative control. Means access, firewalls, encryptions are not there. Hey? Where are the here? Where did we? No, that's arson, kidnapping. Yes, antivirus. All this are not. Then you are not confident enough that we've got those. You are more confident that we've got some disaster recovery plans. Okay, we've got some disaster recovery plans. Okay, nice to know what to our risks and also to know where we are, our weaknesses, because here you've just outlined our weaknesses. Okay, so let's keep reading because you haven't told me. So why am I reading all this? What do you need from me? How is backup a detective in nature? Yeah, Wazani, I agree absolutely with you. Like that's like Ryan doesn't know what he's talking about. Accordingly, I would like you to undertake a thorough review. Guys, did they say a high level? Did they say a high level? A thorough review of our access control policy. Oh my word. I want you to undertake a thorough review of our access control policy for the protection of sensitive information, which I have attached, for the protection of sensitive information. Guys, what do we have there in that line? What has Ryan now just told us in that line? What do we now have? What do we have? We have the task.
The task.
We've got the task. The task has landed. This is our task. This is our task. Okay. This is our task. Oh, why is it not highlighting? Anyway, the task. Let's just put it as a comment. Task. So this, when they say this, they're talking about the access control policy, covers the information security part of the suite of policies that we have in place to ensure compliance with the Protection of Personal Information Act. Oh, so this information, this access control policy covers the information security. Okay, it covers the security of the suite of policies that we have in place to ensure compliance with the POPIA. So why did they tell me this statement? What do you think of the relevance of the statement? What is, anyone, just open the mic and talk? Relevance of the statement. What is the relevance?
I think it goes to the question that you asked during the pre-release period, where you were asking yourself, okay, this policy has been in place since 2020. Ne? What have we done?
Which
what
policy?
Have we done? The POPI Act.
Or the POPI Act has been in place since 2013,
Yes,
but
this means that they are doing
live
something.
2021 and yeah, started 2020 to enable people to comply. Yes.
Yes, for me, it says that they are doing something, or they have been doing something, because they have the suit for the POPI Act. But then this policy only covers the part of the suit. I don't know if you understand what I'm trying to say.
Making a lot of sense. Exclude all other review comments relating to POPI in general. Right? Because the focus is on security. Meaning, what is security from your controls? What type of controls deal with security, guys? What controls deals with security? Because there are other policies, not here, not attached, dealing with all other elements of POPIA. So don't go and raise review notes and tell me that you do not have let me give you an example of a control. I'm just trying to think. You don't have a change management control, because even though a change management control is part of POPIA, this one is dealing with security. But I want you to tell me which controls are security controls, guys, or policies, security controls or policies or procedures. Which ones are this? Let's see in the chat box. Access. Those are my students. Well done, guys. Access controls, ones that deal with security, because it's either you're allowed into the party or you're not allowed into the party. Access, okay, deals with security at the gate, okay, for my party. So don't go and tell me about change controls. For example, change controls. Let's say we want to change a system from Oracle to I'm just using SAP. I mean, it won't be any, it's not an access or a security issue. So that was the importance of telling you that how do you narrow down your review? You need to understand what this policy is trying to deal with. Please prepare a report documenting any concerns that you may have with this policy, including areas that have been inappropriately, inadequately dealt with or omitted. My word. Is this not a task, though? What is this, guys? There's another sentence here. I thought we have the task. What is this?
This is another component of the task. Actually,
really, Atara? So what do you mean? So is this a second thing we have to do? Because when you say another component, you're telling me there is component number 1. This is component number 2. Is that what you're saying?
Let me put it appropriately.
Please.
Please prepare a report is like the main task, and then what you will be doing inside the report will be thorough reviewing.
So the thorough review is the task. You agree?
Yes.
So then what is this?
Freddie, the task. Is it not the
Helena, go first.
Is it not the format of the response?
I love that.
Yeah.
Your deliverable. Yes, you've got your task, but the format of your deliverable is now being mentioned. This is just the format of how you're going to deliver on the task. The format of the deliverable. How you deliver the task. So, meaning I need to draft a report that contains the results of my task, the results of my thorough review. So now I'm already then saying, okay, so it will be a format of a report, okay, which will contain the results of my review into headings, guys, into headings. What is heading number 1? And what is heading number 2 in this report? But any report always have number 0 will be the introduction that I learned from business acumen. Number 3 must have a conclusion or summary. Okay, but here it looks like there are 2 key headings that they're asking me to deal with. Is anyone talking? To tell me what is heading 1 and what is heading 2. Hello,
Hi, Fedi.
go for it.
I think heading one, okay, introduction would be the name, obviously, of the format we're using.
No,
And
it's the report. The report is the format. Then the report will have an intro that's standard, and then the report will have the conclusion. But what are the key headings that they want? They kept on talking about them in that statement.
The concerns that we may have with the policy, including areas that have been. So the first heading would be concerns that are inappropriate. English is not with me today, Fedi. Please bear with me.
I wonder why.
I'm tired.
So when you say concerns, what are you talking about, guys? Let me see. You guys keep on talking to concerns. And then Dimaka to say review of the access control policy, concerns with the policy. Maybe Dimaka, do you want to come in and tell me what you are referring to? Because 1 and 2 on your side seems the same. What is the review? Yes, Dimakatsu. Okay, Tonga, go.
Hi, I would say that heading 1 would be describing concerns with controls which are inappropriate or inadequate.
Fantastic.
And then
inappropriate or inadequate.
And then heading 2
of the policy.
I would say which controls have been omitted completely.
Exactly. Now you do the completeness check and tell me what is not there. Omitted areas of the policy. Omitted areas of the policy. So here is a completeness check. Here is an accuracy. To say, as I read, is this right or wrong? Does this feel right or wrong? And then I put my review comment or concern. But can you see all this in heading 1 are concerns? Heading 2 are concerns. But this one is a concern because they didn't have it. Here it's a concern because they have it, but it's not adequate or it's not appropriate. Okay. And please don't be too technical. Ooh, what are they saying to you? Yeah.
Hi, Fedis. Before you pass that other passage, I mean the paragraph. For me, it sounds like they want concerns, right?
Yes. So both 1 and 2 are concerns, yeah?
But they want, so their general concerns, including, so on top of the concerns they talk about on.
Yes. I get what you say. So other than those 2 concerns, is there any other concern you might think of?
Yes.
Talk to me about it. Let's see if we have heading number 3. What other type of concerns?
General control. I mean, general concerns.
But what would you be concerned about?
I would be concerned about the person that's using the that's responsible for the information not having signed a formal document.
Let me put it here, Atara, because I think you've got a good point, but I just want to see whether we need to have this heading. Could we have heading 4? And as we go through, I want you to answer me whether we would need heading 4. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah, I get it.
Yeah, or let's call it heading 3, concerns, but we'll get there.
All right.
Okay. Don't be too technical. If you lower your hand, Atara, I just want to see. Wadzani, did you want to ask a question?
Yes, I wanted to confirm on the headings. If I'm to structure the response in terms of the headings that we have, and then like since I went with the IoT, and then the policy has other headings that are in there, and then they have numbers on them in terms of policy, let's say 3.1, 3.2, right? And then I find an error on 3.1. Do I then have to say, to start looking for information that falls under heading 1 and then under heading 2? Do I do it concurrently?
Yes, you must do it concurrently, because it's not like you're gonna write and then finish all the inadequate or inappropriate and then be like the omissions. You've got to do it concurrently. But what I've from a professional view, is that usually when you get to the end, you still need to ask yourself, is there anything else that they haven't dealt with? Do you agree the answer to that will fall into omissions?
Okay, yeah.
But it's not like it will be the first time you think about omissions.
Okay.
But usually when you close a review task, you must always say, what about anything else that they haven't dealt with? Brilliant question. So honestly, breaking down the IOD makes so much sense. But my question is, how will one manage time to do this? 5 to 10 minutes. So you need to have killed this. It's just that now we're doing it and we're talking. So that's why it takes longer. But if I was doing it on my own, it's 5 to 10 minutes. I broke it down and then I need to start the actual task. So do practice it after this, and you'll see it works, especially when you are quieter and you're on your own. Keto, it will be part of the things omitted, the general concerns. Okay, let's wait and see. They said don't be too technical, meaning don't come with technical jargon that not Tom, Dick, and Harry will understand. I'm not an IT expert. So avoid words such as, throw them into the chat box. Avoid words such as, please throw them into the chat box. I want to see whether we've got IT experts here. Because as fady as I am, I'm not an IT expert to start with. So I won't be too concerned about this, such as, because I know I'm not an IT expert, so I won't come up with words that Tom, Dick, and Harry won't understand. I'm a general person. But maybe some of you guys are working in the IT environment and you've got those bombastic words. I would like to use your report to engage with the head of our IT so that the necessary amendments can be made. So I need to be, meaning I need to be able to use your report, basically. Here is just saying I need to be able to engage with your report and be able to present it to the IT head as my own, except not my own, like I'm gonna steal your work. That's not what I'm suggesting. But I'm not gonna send you to go and discuss this. I'm gonna use it as the base of my discussion. Okay, so so that the necessary amendments can be made as a matter of agency. So we don't have time to rewrite. Okay. No time to rewrite this report. Cool. Let's see. Let's see. Helena is saying, it feels like a need to read each sentence twice. Ask myself why or so what. Yeah, and Helena, it's exactly that. It's a reading it to understand what they're communicating. What are they saying? You know, sometimes, and it happens to me when I read newspapers, magazines, and things like that, that are not so important. Sometimes I'll read a sentence and I wouldn't have concentrated or whatever, and it doesn't make sense to me, but I keep on reading. So in this context, you can't. Every sentence must tell you something. So you've got to make sure that you read, comprehend, understand, unpack, and understand what they're telling you. Get the message. Yes, as opposed to rushing to see the task and answering the task. Of course. Can you see I'm not rushing at all? Chirindo wrote this question in 15 minutes. Oh, that's a big shock to me, Chirindo. 15 minutes. I mean, and I'm going to say this to everyone, not Chirindo. If you do a task in 15 minutes, you already know that's an LC on that task. I can tell you that. Okay, so I want you to understand when you do that, planning your time, make sure that there's no task that you will do it under 30 minutes, because that is an application for an LC on that task. And we'll give it to you there at SAICA. So make sure time management is a key skill of chartered accountants. Cindy, you are like me. I don't know those bombastic IT words. So me and you, we're not going to be technical at all. Yeah. All right. Let's jump straight. Oh, is it Dimakatsus or is it Chirindo still got a C in this? Wow, that's amazing. Fantastic. Don't try it again though. It doesn't always work. Anyway, so guys, are you now ready to go? I mean, now at this time, you probably putting together the format of your report, how the report looks like, to from subject, dates, etc., and say with a big heading to say report, and then with a nice line and with a big heading. The heading, I always go straight and copy where the task is sitting. The purpose of this report is to document my concerns following the thorough review of our access control policy for the protection of sensitive information. My report is split out into two or three, depending on whether we're going to have general. Key sections. The first section is going to be concerns on the inappropriate or inadequate areas of the policy, and the second being areas that have been omitted from the policy. And then I go and write the names of those headings and underline them so that I know where to plug in the information. And then I go and write the heading called summary or conclusion, just so that I don't forget to get to that point. You can't have a report that doesn't have the ending. Okay, then I've got my structure. Then the question is, am I ready to then start the task, meaning start reviewing? Yes, Katlego, you've got a question.
Hi, Freddie. Good evening,
Hi.
everyone. I wanted to ask,
Mm.
would it be fine if I had just dived into writing the report, or was I expected to attach it to an email?
So you see then now, Katlego, you're asking a very good question that now you need to go and look at your task list to answer that question. Because so far what I've done, I've simply drafted the report, but is that all what is asked? And if we go to the task list, give me a second. Where's the task list? I don't want to give control. Oh, there. Where am I? This assessment reflection paper, assessment papers. So task list. If we go to the task, are they asking us to draft the report or to respond to the email? So let's go
Okay.
see.
It will be an attachment. Yeah.
What are they saying? Prepare a
Respond.
report. Do you see they say prepare a report?
Wait, are we on task D?
Yes.
Oh, sorry. I've been switching the audit tasks.
Yeah. So because they say prepare report, then the only thing you have to give us is the report. If they said respond to Ryan's email, you will respond in an email and attach the report.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Fantastic. Good question. Thanks. And you enabled me to deal with that. All right. So let's show off, guys. Let's really draw the line in the sand and show off that we are ready. We will give this an HC, if not better. Before I do that, Hild is saying, but how will the Ryan received the report via email attachment? Should we not attach to email? Hild, I'm sure do you agree I've responded to that? You're now comfortable. You look at the task list, whether they want the email with the attachment or whether they want just the attachment. Fantastic. Okay. Wadzanai, thank you also for confirming. Right. Let's get to it. So it is the access control policy for the protection of sensitive data. Start with a purpose or intro as normal. The purpose of this policy is to set requirements for controlling the access to sensitive learner and employee data. The purpose of this policy is to set requirements for controlling the access to sensitive learner and employee data. Any views? Remember, it's line by line. After every line you read, you must have a view. Do you have a review comment or no review comment? Come on, guys. Review comment or no review comment?
Hi, Fedi.
Hi.
I don't see the protection of the parents' data. Is it classified as learner data?
Is it classified as part of learner data? Okay, very good question. A very good question. Okay. Do we keep parent information though?
Yes, they did say they keep parent information. The vehicle registration number. Unless if I didn't read
Keep
correctly.
going. Keep going. You're on the right track. It means you chose that you're working for this company. Okay, good. Is it just the vehicle registration number?
No, there are employment
details,
details, the
medical aid information,
addresses, yes, their IDs, their bank accounts. Yeah.
Fantastic. So, Atara, have you identified inappropriateness, inadequacy, or an omission here?
An omission.
Fantastic. Then you're going to write in the report. You've got to always tell us that is wrong, okay? So it is inappropriate. Or the purpose of the policy is inappropriate or not addressing the complete suite of information, including parents' information. That is key sensitive information. The policy only addresses learner and employee data, whereas ACAGO's parent information such as vehicle registration numbers, medical aid information. Okay, then when I'm writing this, I realize that the policy only addresses learner and data, whereas retains some parent information in the form of and medical aid information may include sensitive. Remember, we learned that there is a difference between information, personal information, which will be the vehicle registration numbers, and sensitive one, which has to do with your health. Okay. So that is key. I love that, guys. And I hope you articulate it like that. A review note that does not tell me what is wrong is not a complete review note. You know that some of you guys, when you write the review note, you say, the purpose of this policy should include parents' data, full stop. Yeah, I know that is that's theoretical. Does it not? Or does it? Or you're just telling me for FYI? Like, you've got to tell me currently, as I read it, it doesn't. And it's wrong for not doing so. It must be included. You need to be very specific so that I'm not sitting there asking myself questions around what you're saying. Hilda? Sorry, you said truth there. What did you want to say about the truth?
Hi everyone. I also struggle with reviewing a document, and I promised myself I was saying the word should. I'll never use the word should in a review, because that's where my weakness comes in. When I start to present solution and not addressing the faults on the information. So the word should always makes me go the other way around. So I must just get away from that word should. Yes,
get away from the word should. Look how we said the policy only addresses. So we're showing that it's inappropriate. Or you could have started here and say the policy inappropriately only addresses. Then everyone knows it should also then address the other part. Okay. Katlego, you've got your hand up. Is it a legacy one?
No, new one, Freddie.
Come through.
I just wanted to ask, Ne, so in my second attempt of this task, I used the word limited. So, like I said, Hori, it's limited to only the learner and employee and neglects to include like information
wording.
of
Fantastic wording.
Oh, okay. Cause I thought maybe you want us to use words that the phrase is inappropriate.
Oh no, not all. Like limited shows, especially if then now you bring limited to the following and neglected, then in combination it brings the inappropriateness.
Oh, okay.
Yes. Okay. Then, is there anything anyone wants to say, or can we keep rolling? Let's keep rolling. Just stop me if there is something you want to say. This policy forms part of the set of policies implemented to ensure adherence to the Protection of Personal Information Act and to assist in protecting Akegu's schools and its subsidiaries from any claims and or reputational damage resulting from the loss of sensitive data. Okay, so this policy, they're telling you, is part of a set of policy that addresses adherence to POPIA and to assist in protecting the schools and the subsidiaries, so the entire group, against any claims and reputational damage resulting from the loss of sensitive data. Any issue you had with that?
Hi, Ferry.
Hi, Kazim.
Yeah, on this paragraph, the one saying, I have an issue with, like, we can prepare and this document for the purpose of saying to safeguard ourselves of any claims or reputational damage. So I felt like the purpose wasn't that appropriate.
So Kazim, it's not appropriate. What would be appropriate?
Like maybe what I felt like the wordings of saying like, okay, if they are responsible, should they, even if there's these policies in place, and in the case of any loss of data, they will be responsible for any claim. So it won't safeguard them from any claim.
It won't.
Yes.
No, but if they've got the relevant requirements and they adhere to those requirements, then it will prevent claims, wouldn't it?
Yeah, but this document is basically for controls, right?
No, for policies and procedures.
Policies, yes.
Yeah, for policies. Let's call it policies.
Okay.
So, okay, maybe let me put it differently, Kazim. What is wrong with the purpose? Are you saying it's far-reaching? Like you can never prevent claims? Is that what you're saying?
Okay. So what I do understand is like, okay, we have this policy for access control, right? So probably we should have another set of policy for claims, whereby you sign a document to say, okay, you are sharing your information, to say, okay, should anything happen, you are aware of you giving out your information. So,
but should that not be included in this policy?
Yeah,
like, what is wrong with including that in the policy, Kazim?
Just for something that I felt other way around for this policy saying.
Remember, we're looking at security and access. See? Let me hear what Helena. Is it Helena who wants? Yes, Helena,
yes.
Go for it.
So the issue I have with this policy introduction or purpose is that it states that this policy forms part of a set of policies implemented, and then it continues. But then in the email, it specifically states that it covers the information security, which forms part of the suite of policies. So I felt like he needed to mention which part of the policy are these controls covering, which is the information security part. And then I felt like he needed to also, or the policy needed to state that the other parts are covered in another set of policies, if that makes sense.
Oh, okay.
So basically the completeness.
So you are saying they didn't talk about that this policy is dealing with information security?
Yes. It just
what
says,
about this?
But I felt that it had like a specific name, which is information security.
Oh, okay. So I get what you're saying, Helena. Just an editorial point. Okay. The policy must be clarified, or I guess we're going into the shoot, but I will get the wording right. Must be clarified that access to sensitive information relates to information security. Is that what you're looking for, Helena?
Yes, and then in addition, the policy also needs to state that, where is it? Like everything else is covered in another policy. All the other parts.
And also exclude and also make specific of what is not covered.
Yeah.
That's what you're saying, eh?
Yes, yes, that's what I'm saying.
Do you agree when I say this is an editorial point?
So it
Because
was,
it's there. You're just asking for further clarifications, or like, because if I were to read this, I wouldn't say this is a key review note. This is just the edits that needs
Okay.
to that needs to just come as part of my review. But it's not necessarily going to change the structure of our policies. You get what I'm saying? Whereas leaving out employee data is key.
Yes,
You get what
I
I'm
hear
saying?
you. Yeah.
This is an editorial point, and I wanted to make it clear that yes, you can raise it, but it's an editorial point.
Okay, noted, Ferdy.
Thank you, Helena. Naledi?
Hi, Ferdy. I'm a bit uncomfortable with the word adherence, and I'm not sure if I'm going too far with it.
Okay.
But because this is an act, I feel like the word adherence comes across as this might be like you have an option. So like it's like a recommendation. But when it comes to an act, you need to comply. So I think
adherence is like compliance. Adhere.
For me, it leaves me wanting in a way. I don't know if I'm going too far with it, but I feel like whatever's included in this policy needs to, put them in line, to ensure that they should comply. Because if they just adhering, so to speak, it's almost as if there's something that they're not covering, there isn't that leeway. Like you need to comply with it. So whatever you have in policy needs to ensure that you comply fully.
Yeah, I think you're reading too into it, because if you look at it, it's faithfulness. You've got to do it. You have to adhere. You can't, you can't leave it to chance. Yeah. Thanks.
All right, thanks.
Cool. Thanks, Naledi. Annelise?
I was just gonna say, it only talks about protecting the school, and it's shown, yes, in subsidiary, but it doesn't talk about the parents, the students, because the POPI Act states that it's basically to protect people from harm by protecting their personal information, to
You're
stop
fishing
from
again, Annelise. Also, adherence to POPI means I will adhere to the ambits and the purpose and the spirit of this act. Do you get what I'm saying? Is it not covered in here?
But if you, so basically this policy, I feel like I'm not happy with the fact that it's only there to protect.
No, it's not only there to protect the school and the group, because it says it's to ensure adherence to POPI. So if one of the requirements or some requirements of POPI are to protect the school, and I mean the parents and the learners and employees, if I comply, then I'm protecting those by default. And then there's a big end here. I need to assist in protecting myself as well.
Okay.
You get me? I love this. I love this discussion, guys. It's so entertaining that some of the things that you're saying I haven't actually even thought about. But it's good that you're challenging me and I'm challenging you. Because funny enough, I didn't see anything wrong with this, but I see Helena's point around clarifying, and I take that one. But I wouldn't have written it. But I mean, very good point, Helena, and that's why I put it on the memo. Okay. Let's keep going. Unless there's anything else, let's check. Katlego is saying, isn't sensitive data a subset of personal? Absolutely correct. I thought it should encompass all personal information. That's brilliant. That's brilliant. Katlego, that's actually one of my points that I have to say. You say the purpose of this policy is to set requirements for controlling access to sensitive learner and employee data. Even the title says that. Okay. But my concern is that what about just personal information? For me, it needs to cover both. Yes, there will be controls for sensitive data because it's even more important. But for me, all personal information needs to be complied with. Okay? All personal information needs to be complied with. So I actually have this as a review note for the papers. What about, and I don't like questions as a review note. It may be inadequate for the policy to only address sensitive information, whereas POPI requires protection of all personal information, sensitive personal information included. Thank you, Katlego. Right, moving right along. Scope. This policy applies to all permanent and contract employees. This policy applies to all permanent and contract employees and management of Akego schools with an electronic device that is connected to Akego schools' computer networks. This policy applies to all permanent and contract employees and management of Akego schools with an electronic device that is connected to Akego schools' computer networks. I'll pause here and see, do you guys have issues? Annalise, I see you've got your hand up. Sure.
Sorry,
Annalise.
that's an old hand.
Thank you. Pamela, I think you went first.
Hi, everyone. What I think is an issue with this part is that the policy only applies to employees with electronic device. And I would like to assume that those are not the only employees that the school has. They have other employees that might not have access to electronic device, and it should apply to everyone.
Sorry, Pamela, you're saying it applies to who only?
It says that it applies to all permanent and contract employees and management of Akego schools with an electronic device. So I read it as though it's only directed to those with electronic devices, and it doesn't account for everyone that works for the school. So for me, it should apply to everyone that works for the school, and everyone should comply, and not only those with electronic devices. Unless I read that sentence.
No, you read it perfectly. I like you. It's sort of like I get you, but you're lacking depth. I still don't understand how any other employee, right?
Okay.
Would expose the school to risk. You get what I'm saying?
I get what you mean.
Yeah, and without that level of detail, I won't give you an indicator of competence.
Okay.
So tell me, other than contract employees and permanent employees and management that have access through the electronic device, who else? Like all these other employees that you're talking about that are excluded here, how would they put information at risk?
I have, for instance, I can only think if there were.
You see what I'm doing to you?
Yes.
I'm really getting you to the crux of the issue.
Yes.
And without that crux of the issue, then we don't have an issue. Because if you can't come up with an example, then there's no issue.
True. I get what you mean.
But you're on the right path.
Through access to Wi-Fi.
You're not far off. Maybe Helena can assist.
Yeah, because this is what I also struggled with.
Yes, and once we've dealt with it, just push it into the chat box and say, I got you. And then I'll know you're sorted. Helena?
Okay, so for me, I think I was fine with the fact that they're dealing with permanent and contract employees. I didn't have a problem with that. It's the electronic devices. So information can be obtained either electronically or manually as well. People can fill in forms, people can fill in logs, like, with COVID, you write your name, where you live, so manual data as well. So that's covering both electronic and manual data, if that's what you call it.
But
and then
how would manual data be at risk? Again, you're not giving me the depth.
Okay, I'm being very generic.
Yes, bring it to Akegus.
Okay, let me collate myself. So the policy does not adequately cover manual data, which could be in the possession of both permanent and contract employees in the form of
keep going. Yes,
in the
you're on the right track.
form of physical data, which could be in the possession of these employees, either at the school premises or at their homes, etc.
Fantastic. I'm getting a warmy, fuzzy feeling now that you're saying it is inadequate, right?
Yes.
I love what you're doing. Inadequate. Policy is inadequately. Policy is inadequately dealing with information stored electronically only.
Yeah.
Meaning we will be dealing with logical access controls. But what are but it should, okay, you guys don't like should, but neglects, let's use Katleo's wording, but neglects that data may be in physical, or you use manual form. Example, manually completed forms left on tables, in drawers, etc. Okay, now I'm going to recommendation, but neglect data may is because I wanted to deal with the physical controls as well. So not just logical access controls, but also physical access controls. Okay. It must also deal with the physical access controls. So I see what you've done. Well done, Helena. But we still haven't dealt with Pamela's point. Tonga?
Actually, for me, I was thinking about something else.
Throw it at us.
I'm not sure if I'm reaching or not, but there's other people in the form of service providers that might have access to system information. I'm not sure whether that would be covered maybe in the contractual agreements, or whether the policies should also include service providers that do work.
Would service providers not be contract employees?
Not necessarily,
not necessarily. And
yeah.
if you can answer that question, then I'm saying yes. And I agree with you. So then I would say scope is limited only to, is inappropriately limited, inappropriately limited only to employees, and excludes contractors, and there's who have access to information through the intranet of the schools. Who? I'll deal with it here, Tonga, when for me it was key that these people are completely ignored and they actually have this key information. Who's that? Muleboheng?
Hi, Fedi. Before I answer, can I just ask a question? In the context of this case study, do we look at when it comes to management, do we also include the board members? Because I still think that
always exclude
they have the. Okay, so I'll say
contractors, such as service providers, and the board. Fantastic.
Okay.
Ooh, yeah, keep going. Did I deal with your?
So yeah, so I wanted to suggest that the board needs to be also included.
Yeah, but who else, guys?
Can I go?
Electronic devices. Yes, answer.
Okay, I don't think
connect to our system.
ex-employees, perhaps people that were previously employed at Akegos, because they're not specifically mentioning that the electronic devices are authorized devices.
No, but
authorized devices.
But former employees, I would expect that they would have terminated them. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah, but they're also not explicitly saying not explicitly saying that the electronic devices are issued by Akegos. They're not authorized devices.
Then you can just say the public then, basically.
You need to have access to the portal or whatever.
Yeah, but for former employees, I would have expected the access to have been terminated when you leave the employment.
Okay, but then maybe we will cover that through covering what type of electronic devices.
Fantastic. Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Sorry, Fedi, can I jump in again?
Please.
I think that learners, because they have
guys.
Yeah.
Learners. This is big. Learners did they not say with the online learning and electronic devices that they need to use to connect? You get me, guys? Yeah, auditors, I'll say they're part of the service providers. And Pamela, let me deal with your point. It was going to be exactly the same point, but I was trying to say yours is here. You're dealing with electronic devices as well. Because what about all the other employees, permanent or otherwise, that do not have electronic devices, but they are there? Let's say a cleaner that does not need any electronic device, but walks around and see a pack of application forms lying around, can go in and out of the vault. That is physical access. Do you see, Pamela, that I would have dealt with your point, and that's why I said you're on the right track, but you've got to, it needs to land in this case study as to what you're talking about and not be left at a generic level. Happy?
Yes, thank you so much.
Good. Is there still some hands remaining? Pamela, if you could lower yours. Eileen?
Hi, Fedi. I just wanted to confirm in terms of if my response, basically, if there were to be enough depth to it with regards to the scope. So, for instance, if I said that the school might also have other data storage locations of personal data, for example, filing cabinets, and not just on electronic devices. So employees
Yes.
that have access to these physical access locations should also be included in the scope. And if not,
Absolutely.
then I would regard the scope to be inappropriate.
Absolutely. And you're dealing with physical access controls.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Thanks.
So this policy also covers remote access connections. It covers electronic devices and also cover remote access connections to any Archegos network. So let me think. So guys, it covers the electronic device. We say it doesn't cover the physical device, like physical access, but it also covers the network.
Hi, Fedi.
There's something that is not covered here. Go for it.
I'm not sure if that's the thing you mean is not covered, but I'm just reminded of a conversation I had today at work where one of the systems, our finance system, our HR system, you don't have access to them when you're at home.
Yes. So here, they also cover it when you are at home, right?
Or anywhere else.
Or anywhere else, yes, sorry. Not restricted to home, yeah, which is good, I guess. But then it means we need more protection. Do you agree?
Yeah.
Okay. Let me leave this one of mine that I'm having. It's sort of like a red flag at the moment. I don't think it's an issue as yet until we go into the detail. Let's quickly get into the detail and see whether we will be able to cover things in the detail. Number one, user access profiles are used on the networks. User access profiles. User access profiles. The reason I keep on reading it is because I haven't been focused. My mind was somewhere else. And I want to show you how then I bring myself back. I won't be able to move on until I really focus. Okay, they're talking about user access profiles are used on the networks to determine which users have rights of access to the learner and employee data. Do you have issues here?
Hi, Fedi.
Hi.
I think maybe they were supposed to use their job descriptions to determine which rights do they need to give to them on the system. Then when we say user access profiles, we have already determined their profiles, but what is it that they need to do on their systems, which I think they were supposed to use their job descriptions.
But remember, don't get into remember we're reviewing a policy, Eddie Makatsu. We're not reviewing controls. So don't get into a mode of wanting them to be very specific. You get what I'm saying?
Okay.
They'll be very specific when they design the control to comply with this policy. Is there anything else that, guys, you're seeing? User access profiles are used on the networks to determine which users have rights of access to learner and employee data. Go for it, my guy.
I just wanted to say, to me, it sounds like they are just usernames for to do certain stuff, but is it, it's like people just use the same username to access, maybe if they need to process certain information. But for security, the data, I mean, the user must be for a specific person. You cannot share or use the same username and password to access.
Yeah, again, you're getting too specific. And I think we might be tripping ourselves. Maybe what we should do, let's read all of this cold, and then we'll come back, because we need to still do it with line by line. Because I can see you guys are dealing with things that later gets dealt with. So user access profiles are used on the networks to determine which user have rights of access to the learner and employee data. All changes to user access rights are approved by the user's line manager before being effected. On an employee's termination date, due to resignation, retirement, or death, the username is immediately deactivated on the access profile. When accessing the networks, the user is authenticated by the system by verifying that the username, password, and password entered match that recorded in the access profile. 3 unsuccessful attempts to access the network due to the incorrect password being entered results in the username being disabled. The user's access can only be re-enabled once the user requests this from IT help desk. All passwords must comprise a minimum of 10 characters that should be a combination of letters, numbers, and symbols, and employees are required to keep this confidential at all times. Passwords are also changed once every month, and the requested use of a particular password, and the repeated use of a particular password is not allowed. A requirement to maintain the confidentiality of password is included in every employment contract, and employees are continuously reminded about it through ongoing training. The user's access to the network is automatically terminated after 5 minutes of inactivity, and he or she is then required to access the network afresh. All access to networks is locked. All sensitive data on devices linked to the networks are stored in an encrypted format. So I needed to read this so that you guys don't keep on giving me things that are being dealt with. Like, I didn't want you to just now be fishing. I call it fishing when you're trying to just take on the loose straws. Now you've got context of what is coming. Now, I'm going to group them, 3.1 and 3.2. Do you see any issue? 3.1 and 3.2. Yes, Tonga?
I think I would say I have discomfort with regards to the fact that the policy doesn't outline what kind of access these users would have per profile. So, for example, I would have the expectation to say that learners have access to the learner system. And then employees would have access to, for example, also the learner system, and then admin people would have access to the employee and learner information, but not necessarily
you are defining roles. You get what I'm saying?
Yes.
But are you saying it's not there?
I feel it's not explicit.
Okay, but what? What is not explicit?
I think the levels of access are not explicit.
Okay, okay. I will give it to you. Let me not be difficult. I wouldn't have written it in that manner, but because I think you're getting to the control. But would a policy have to deal with that level of detail? I don't think so. But let's. I see most of you are coming up with that. The role descriptions determine the user access are not defined in the policy, and this may not be complied with in the implementation of the logical access controls. Got you? Let's leave it there. What else? There's definitely other things here on 3.1 and 3.2. What's a 9? Go for it.
Hi. I'm not sure, but when I'm thinking of access profiles, I'm thinking of read-only access or editing rights to information, or am I lost?
No, you are there. You are actually talking to the same thing. You are defining the role profiles.
Oh, okay.
To say some people must be able to have read-only, some to read and edit. You get what I'm saying?
Okay.
You are actually raising the same point, which I'm 50-50 on it, actually. Was it Refilwe?
Yes. So with regards to the second point relating to changes, I guess I would question whether is there any supporting documentation that is given to actually confirm the changes before they're actually effected by the line manager.
Yeah, now you're getting to, you want evidence of the approval. You guys are getting too detailed. You're getting into controls, guys. Remember, we are reviewing policies. Like don't get honing into, we're not reviewing controls and say there's lack of evidence of approval.
Ferdi. Yeah, no, I think that's the mistake that most of us, I'm just thinking, I myself, I think I felt in that trap because I was more into detailed. So maybe the issue was understanding, like, how deep does a policy go, you know?
Yes. A policy needs to deal with the aerial views of things. Like you see, when you guys were saying we didn't deal with personal information, but we dealt with sensitive. We didn't deal with learners, but we dealt with employees. We didn't deal with parents' information. That is at the level the policy needs to be, not the detail about, oh, go and specify the profile roles, and it doesn't need that. So if I were to give you an example, let me give you an example of where I'm having issues with 3.1 and 3.2. 3.1 is talking to me about user access profiles being used, but and 3.2 dealing with changes to those user access. But I don't see anywhere here of them dealing with new user. New user authorization or approval, because I get a feeling that changes when I was a learner and I become a tutor, it needs to go to my line manager and they will approve it. But what about a new user? What about a new learner? Yes, I understand that everyone is dealt with through user access profiles, but are the new user being approved as well? Or are they being authorized? The new ones. Remember, and this is, if you don't understand general IT controls, you wouldn't be able to pick this. Because if you had gone through the notes to understand that authorization, preventative controls for access, you need to deal with it at a new user, you need to deal with it at changes, and you need to deal with it at termination. I feel like they're dealing with termination and changes. I didn't see them dealing with new user. That's number one. The other point that I'm struggling to understand is they're dealing with access to the networks. Access to the networks.
Hi, Fedi.
I'm gonna come to you. Just give me a second. And then all changes to user access are approved. And then on termination, the username is immediately deactivated to the profile. But all this seems to be dealing with the network. So what do I mean? It seems like you are dealing, this policy is dealing with access at a network layer only. Meaning, they seem to be dealing with because they spoke about local area network or wide area network, it might be one of those. I wonder what about access on the following layers? Remember we had other layers, guys, when we did controls. And what are those other layers? Katlego, come, tell me other layers of IT environment. Go for it, Katlego.
Freddie,
system
you're
itself.
putting me on the spot.
The system or the application itself. And it might be dealt with, that one, because I didn't look at it in detail. But remember, the system or the application is the learner management system that you go into. So I'm talking about, for instance, you having to log into My Universe. Okay?
Yes.
And other layers will include the database.
Yes.
To the information sitting in the database. Because you guys would know Ndibuo or Mitembe can go into our database and go and do their own thing. I'm talking about privileged users here now. You get what I'm saying? And then what about the operating system itself? I'm talking about Windows and things like that. Are they, I'm not sure they're being dealt with here. Okay, there was a lady that wanted to come in. Sorry, I said, give me a second.
Hi, Fedi. It's
Hi.
me.
Oh, was
Atara.
it you, Atara? Yeah.
Yes. I just think I'm a bit confused now because I was under the impression that we are thoroughly reviewing this policy in comparison to what is required by the POPI Act. Right,
as far as security and information security is concerned, right?
Yes.
Yes.
But
you're still on the
now-
right track there.
But now I see us, I don't know, getting into detail that is not necessarily based on the POPI Act.
Oh, no, it is. POPI says protect your information, have controls in place to make sure that personal information is protected.
Okay, maybe I'll understand as we go.
Freddie, I have a question.
Go for it.
Could you have not read the POPI Act and still did good in this question?
Yes. You could have read the entire POPI Act and understood it backwards. Yes. Especially the candidates that identify the POPI Act as the trigger, but did not look at risk management from a risk management perspective. You wouldn't have done well here. Because you need to understand that you need to prepare for the controls around POPI Act.
But at the same time, it also just feels generic. But specific to Caicos.
No. Yes, it needs to be specific. So we need to talk about, yes, which system are we talking about? Where does the software that they say they've got this global software, where does it store the data and all that? That is key. So you need, yes, here maybe I'm just laying all this here like this because I'm not writing like before. But when you are writing, you've got to mention how it's applicable here.
Okay, applying it.
Exactly.
So maybe I just want to ask another question one more time. So could I have not read and understood the POPI Act and still do good in this question or task?
If you read and understood the POPI Act and stopped there, you wouldn't have done well.
Yeah.
But if you took it further to say, what are the risks and how do I manage those risks? And then the twist on the day was to narrow you down to information security.
Okay.
And exclude everything else. It's sort of like you would have come in understanding things like backups, things like operating system, data recovery plans, those kind of things that even though you understand them because they are introduced as part of risk management from a POPI, they're not specifically required on the day because the day narrowed you down to POPI, to information security.
Okay.
Okay. So and those are the nuisance that you needed to identify. Let's see if there's another hand. Atara, you still have your hand up. I'm not sure if it's an old one.
It's a legacy hand.
Thank you. Okay. So if you read, user access profiles are used on the networks to determine, because I would have expected them to say networks, application system, database, to determine which users have rights to access to the learner and employee data. You could also say, and what about parent? I mean, you've already raised it up there. I wouldn't repeat it. All changes, then what about new users? And I see some candidates are thinking changes could include new, because new might be a change. But remember, theoretically, we speak about new, change, and termination. On an employee's termination date, due to resignation, retirement, or death, the username is immediately deactivated on the access profile. That's a very good one. When accessing the networks, again, they just keep on talking about networks, but we've raised the point. The user is authenticated by the system by verifying that the username and password entered match the recorded in the access profile. A very good one. So there's a use of password. 3 unsuccessful attempts to access the networks due to incorrect password being entered result in the username being disabled. 3 unsuccessful, okay, results in the username being disabled. The user's access can only be re-enabled once the user requests this from IT help desk. 3.5. I was dead when I saw this one. Let's see. Katlego, go for it.
For the 3.3, I had an issue
with
just deactivating the username because I thought, shouldn't all the person's information also be removed because you won't be using it anymore? And Poppy says that if you're not using the data, then why are you keeping it?
Okay, you see, you are addressing a very good point from a Poppy. But does that have anything to do with protection of information, security of information?
What if they get hacked and now my information is there and I don't work at the school anymore?
Yes, you see, I need you to bring it home. So you need to say, they need to retain information for the relevant purpose, for the risk of being hacked. So the data must be destructed, and it improves on security. So I want you to just always bring it back to security.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
I get where you're taking it. I wonder whether you're taking it too far, but I can live with it. So I can live with also terminate the data because it puts you to security risk.
So, and then 3.4, I see you jumped into 3.5, but you didn't have an issue with 3.4. So with 3.4, my issue was we use username and password for identifying and authenticating. But when you're verifying, shouldn't it be matched against the master file, which would have like...
You're getting into the control. You're defining the how. Because it's being done. You just want the detail, right?
No, it says by verifying. So maybe, I don't know if it's the wording issue, which I was using from the textbook, where it says username is identify, password is authenticate, verify is master file.
Oh, again, okay, you've got editorial change. Language. What is the perfect word?
But the thing is, Freddie, if there's no verification of having a master file, making sure that what I've put in, it means that I can access anything. I can access a profile. I can just log into the system. That was my thinking.
No.
There's no
Because
matching.
it matches that recorded in the access profile, basically in the master file, but they just didn't define it here. You get what I'm saying? But I get your point, and that's why I'm saying I would say that it's now getting into the edits of be specific. But you see, are you changing anything in this policy? No.
No. Sure. Okay, thank you.
Number 5. Did you have anything, Katlego, here?
Hi, Freddie, maybe.
Let me see. 5.
Maybe there's a gentleman that wants to say something. Sorry.
Okay, cool.
Yes,
Whilst you're looking,
number 5,
yes.
I was looking at the approval by the supervisor, because once you request, once you get a form, the supervisor must authorize it to say that yes, you can be given an access, and maybe they must understand the reason for you having to enter the password.
Yes. Do you just have to request and they grant you, they re-enable you? Do you agree they need to investigate if you are the right party to have this access? Re-enablement. What else?
I have a question. I'm sorry to take you back to 3.1, but it's just bothering me. I might be wrong, but 3.1, it says that the user access profiles are only used to identify users with rights, but it isn't used to detect those that shouldn't have rights. For instance, if I'm a hacker and I hacked onto the system and you're only focusing on identifying people that should have access, you might miss or you might not detect that I shouldn't be there, which then will prompt you to take the necessary steps.
That's my student right there. So basically what you're saying to me, all these controls that I'm looking at, guys, they seem to be very focused on what? Preventative controls or policies. What about detective? B, monthly checks of full user list against their roles. Someone must review. And that list must be complete and accurate before I do the reviews. Here, I see you're preventing this unsuccessful attempts, but I don't see you reviewing a regular exception report to see if who are these parties that keep on having unsuccessful attempts. So you have these preventative measures, but you're not going into then following up on the review and the review controls or the detective controls. Are you getting a sense? Are you getting a good sense, guys, of how you review a policy? It's sort of like a policy needs to be an overarching. Don't go and look at the word or there's a word missing here. I would have worded this better. It's not, we're not looking for a grammatical review. We're looking for you to change the policy and come up with things that are missing from the policy or things that are inadequate or inappropriate. I loved 3.6 and 3.7. You guys could have picked up other things. I just want to rush to the end because I'm way over time. Let's see, 3. Yeah, we spoke about the fact that they keep on talking about access. Yeah, you see, the user access is automatically terminated after 5 minutes and then requested to access. Oh, okay, that's the other one. All access to network is logged. Yes, you see, it's a good thing that you log all access, but do you review? Is logging in? Is no follow-up then? And this becomes an issue because remember I said to you guys, it is not a control. Identify with no follow-up. We'll identify someone who tried to log in. It will be, let's say, Katlego is a student, but I see her logged in as an employee and it's locked. That happened. But then what after that? I see encrypted. Oh, are we at the end of the policy? It's a good thing you've got encryption. What other things are missing, guys? What is missing? If we've got encryption, what else would you expect from a policy to deal with some of the preventative controls for data and information? We spoke about them at the beginning.
Backups.
Backups. Is it security? I like backup for Poppy, but it's not security. Come on, guys. Yeah, firewalls. Yes, firewalls. Why are they not talking about firewalls? Why are they not talking about antivirus? I read all this and I didn't see any of this. I saw encryption. I didn't see firewalls. Adherence to this policy is monitored on an ongoing basis by the head of IT. What did you guys think of this statement?
Hi, Fedi.
Hi.
If I remember correctly, the Poppy Act says that the officer responsible for information, which is the head of IT in this case, must. Let me read it again. Adherence to this policy is monitored on an ongoing basis by head. Like I don't know how to put it, Fedi, but it's like it's not supposed to be just monitoring the adherence of the policy. He's responsible for also the processing of information. He's responsible for everything information.
No, but I remember they talking to this party for this policy. They're not gonna go and write about other things that he's responsible for or she's responsible for in this policy. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Yeah, so don't do that. So let's. Sorry, Atara, go for it.
But now, Fedi, why was the Poppy Act there in the pre-release?
Because all what we're doing is in context of the Poppy Act. It's the one that says we need to protect personal information. And how do we do it? By having policies such as this. But this policy is inadequate.
Okay, I think I just got lost in the. You guys say I took to town the Poppy Act.
Yes, whereas Poppy was narrowed to risk management.
Yeah, and I missed the risk management during the pre-release, so okay, makes sense.
Thanks, Atara. So let's go.
Hi, Freddy. I was not going to answer this, but maybe I can touch on it, but I'm not
Please.
sure.
Yeah.
Because okay, let me ask my question first, then I'll answer. My question is, so you know how we keep raising things and you're like, but that's a control and that's the how, right? So the word that will make you understand that you're out of scope is the how. So what word could one have in mind to, stay on the policy and not the control? That's my question.
Okay.
And then
I'll answer that.
okay, and then I'm not sure if this is the control or what, but even though the head of IT is monitoring, how do they know that he is? Like, is there a process where there is like a review of his monitoring reports or something?
That's my student right there. But now go into the detail. Like, give me depth to say, sort of like there is a self-review here. How do we monitor that he's doing this? Because give him the word, he or she is the operator or the processor. Are you with me? So, and what do you know about control environment, guys? There are different layers. So let's do.
Yeah, I wanted to come in there.
Go for it.
Maybe is he not reporting to IT strategic committee or some
IT
sort?
executive committee.
Or executive committee, yeah.
Yes, after that, because this will be a management committee. Do you agree with me?
Mm.
And then after that, go up, keep going.
The board. The audit
Who's
committee.
charged with governance?
Okay. Oh,
The board.
Management, the board.
The board. I mean, is the board not monitoring this? And then besides that, the monitoring, who is usually best placed to do monitoring, guys? Usually give assurance to the board that monitoring is happening. Come on, guys. Assurance providers. I just wanted you guys to really open your horizon around the review line by line of this policy. And do not get fixated into trying to just expand on what they're doing. If you find yourself just expanding on everything is perfect, but you just want them to perfect a particular word or to just say by doing this or by adding by doing this, you are not really updating your policy. A review of a policy requires you to be very structured and say, I know how a policy needs to look like. It needs to just be comprehensive, but deal with the key elements. Okay. So I think, let me see. Oh, yes. Let me see. What's her name? So let's ask me a question. How do I make sure that I don't get trapped into giving controls? How do I make sure that I just don't deal with editorial comments and I'm really high level? I guess, so let's say you need to understand what a policy is. That's the first. And a policy, think about it from an accounting policy. An accounting policy will talk about initiation, initial recognition, initial measurement, subsequent recognition, subsequent measurement. It needs to address all the issues. Okay, but sometimes it does not necessarily go into the detail around the procedures and the how and the likes. So that's what you need to always keep at the back of your mind. Okay, Can I give you guys 5 minutes? Because I've ran significantly out of time. I'm going to give you 5 minutes break. And then Kumu will start at 2025. Sorry, Kumu. I know you're in the room and you're probably wondering, when is this guy going to stop? But in the 5 minutes, I'll take the 3 hands whilst everyone is just stretching their legs. Cindy, go first.
So my question is, I think it was 3.6 or something like that, where you're talking about people, they need to check who is 3.5, where they need to check that who are these parties. Like, I'm just thinking, usually you have to change passwords every 6 weeks, whatever the case is. And if you're logging it from your own computer, then like, is this not going too deep into what is the actual control? These review that this is happening and all that. Is it not implicitly implied, like how?
No.
Is this not like, are we not going into the how? Like,
No,
I feel like some
it's
of those
different.
points.
You see here, they say all changes are approved. Then it gives me a sense that, oh, then there must be a control to review, evaluate, and then approve. You get what I'm saying?
Yes.
It's embedded. But when they say user request this information, it means they just call and request, or they send an email and request. And that request is not evaluated. It's not approved before it's being actioned. You get what I'm saying?
Oh, okay.
And that's how you need to read between the lines. They need to give you the last line so that you know everything else has been done, so that you don't get trapped into the how. Okay.
Oh, okay.
Thanks, Cindy.
Thanks.
Very good question. Moleboheng?
Hi, Feli. So my question was on 3.3, and I just wanted to find out if I was on the right track, or can you please maybe correct me if I'm wrong? So my question here was, how do they make sure that employees that have left don't have like personal or sensitive data in their possession, like they would have obtained it whilst they were still employees? Like if they have it on their devices, how does the entity then make sure that
like if it was on a USB or something like that?
Yeah.
Yes, and that's why we dealt with this to say this policy, the problem is that it seems to be dealing with information that is attached to the device as we speak about the like connected to the laptop. But we said there could be information running around in other forms, like memory sticks, drawers, application forms that are in physical. You get what I'm saying?
So I think my question is also on the electronic devices. Maybe this employee still has sensitive data on their laptop, or not even laptop. Maybe if they use their own devices to log into the system, how do we make sure that now that they're not employees, they don't have this information in their possession anymore?
But remember, if you're talking about logging into the network or the application, the moment you deactivate them, it's not like the data remains on the laptop. They got it through their device.
Oh, okay.
They got it through the network. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
Unless they
Okay,
downloaded it from the application onto their desktop.
Yeah.
Yes. And that's why we talk about encryptions, firewalls, to prevent those kind of downloading.
Okay. Okay.
Yes.
Thank you.
Yes, which are not being dealt with here.
Okay.
Thank you.
Ferdy.
Yes.
So I see the policy covers prevention and detecting, and I don't see us covering correction. So if I'm to,
we are.
Correction, are we?
Follow-ups. Access is
Okay.
locked. What do you do with the locks? Do you review them and follow up? There is sort of like, where's that other one? Where unsuccessful attempts is locked as well. but I don't see them following up on the exception reports. You get what I'm saying?
Okay, so that for you would be classified as correcting.
Exactly.
And not detecting.
Yes.
Okay.
To try to correct.
So maybe the next question would be, if I am to say recommend something like a risk register, would that be going in the ambit of correct recommendations? Like
what is
for
the
them to
risk register of use doing?
So you are logging all these incidences, right? So, but what do you do with them? You follow up with them, but then aren't you also supposed to be monitoring them as well?
Yes. Yeah, it's like following up on exception reports.
Okay, so if I take it a step further and say they need to keep it in a register.
Yes, like incident register.
Okay.
But link it specifically to information security, please. Don't just leave it as an incident management, because I'm already thinking about computer operations and just maybe someone is has lost their laptop. Well, I guess losing of the laptop will be an incident and follow up, and it will be about information protection. Absolutely correct. As long as you detailed your review notes to still show us that you are still within protection of information.
Which I think I was supposed to write very boldly in the beginning, which I didn't.
Yes.
Okay. Thank you, Freddie.
Freddie, before you go, you were kind of excited with remote access. Can you just take us through that, please?
Was I?
The remote access.
Oh, yes. Yeah, it was though about this networks, but then when I went into the detail, I didn't see anything talking about access to things, because for remote access, you need things like VPN, eh?
Yes.
But I didn't see anything dealing with like profiles and user access and termination of VPNs. So thanks for reminding me. Virtual P networks. What is the P again?
It's private.
Private.
Thank you. Yes. Not dealt with by the policy. Yeah, well done. Kumu, are you here?
Yeah, been here for a long time.
You've been here, hey? But in any case, the candidate says they did task H in 15 minutes.
Is it?
Yeah. Tell them
Right,
that's
so maybe we
that's
do
an
it in 10.
LLC to start with. Okay, so whilst Kumu is setting up, guys, tell me what now you think of this task. Just put it into the chat box. Don't shout it out. So, and what do you need to know going forward regarding what you've learned, basically, or your key takeaway, and how you're going to make sure that you are really ready for the 30th of March. Thanks, Kumu, and good night, everyone.
Thanks, Freddie.
Don't forget to put it in the chat box, eh? Put them into the chat box, your thoughts.
Thanks, Freddie. Cool, thanks, Freddie. Maybe you can stop sharing now.